Hello, guys. Welcome to Hatsput Economic. Hatsput. And it's your girl, Connie. And if you haven't done so, before we even get started, please hit the like button right there, the like button somewhere there, and subscribe so you can get more of my content and definitely hit the notification bell. I think we got that out the way. So what do I have here? I have a Pew Research Center, social and demographic trends. Okay. So if you're not familiar with the Pew Research Center, it's nerd heaven. It's nerd nirvana for people like me. So it basically deals with numbers, facts, and trends. And, it's neutral. They're so neutral that no matter what research they do, they never give a recommendation. They never give a solution. They just want to, give you the facts, nothing but the facts, man. And I'm all about the receipt. So this Pew Research Center is the truth about intermarriage in the United States for the past 50 years after Loving versus Virginia. So I want to do a video that was fact based about interracial marriage, intermarriage, using the Pew Research Center social and different demographic trends. All right, so this is all about being a nerd right now. And the reason I want to do this is because I see there's so much misinformation on the internet. Like I told you, I'm really passionate about bringing you the news, having a level of integrity, and making sure I bring you the facts. There's a lot of emotion, a lot of drama with this subject, and I don't want to go there. Like I said, when you tune into Hasesput, I really want you guys to be confident and know that I am showing you the facts. There's a reason why you're not seeing my face. You guys see my face in my other videos. There's nothing wrong with my face. I'm a regular Homo sapien. I'm a regular human being. I'm doing it this way to show you the facts. All right, let me see if I can increase my thing is okay. All right, guys, so I'm going to just dive right in. So this is about intermarriage in the United States, trends and patterns. So it starts off with talking about in 1967, when they got rid of miscegenation laws. Miscegenation, what kind of word is that? Laws were overturned. So already in 1967, even when things weren't legal, 3% of all newlyweds were already married to someone of a different race or ethnicity. So that's crazy, because back then, that's when the dogs and the hoses were out. Since then, intermarriage rates have steadily climbed. By 1980, the share of intermarried newlyweds had about doubled to 7%. And the numbers, and by 2015, the number had risen to 17%. So we're just going to take a little look at the graph right here. Since 1967, a steady rise in intermarriage in the United States. So this is the percentage who are intermarried. And this is the graph, data, research, literacy. Okay, so you can see in 1967, can you see my arrow? Hope you guys can see it, that the rate was only what? 3%. And from 1967, 1975, 1983, 1991, 1999, 2007, 2015, it has steadily climbed to 17%. That's a lot. And this data comes from the Pew Research Center analysis of 2008, 2013, American Community Survey, and 1980, 1990, and 2000 census surveys. Okay, so this is amazing. Okay, that's a lot of growth. So so we have intermarriages by race and ethnicity. So there's a dramatic increase in intermarriage for blacks and whites. So that actually fuels a big bulk of it. But overall increases in intermarriage have been fueled in part by rising intermarriage rates among black newlyweds and among white newlyweds. The share of recently married blacks with a spouse of a different race or ethnicity has more than tripled from 5% in 1980 to 18% in 2015. Among recently married whites, rates have more than doubled from 4% to 11%. That's a lot. That's a lot. But you're going to get surprised here. You're going to get surprised. You're going to get surprised. So I want to go down here, and we're going to go down here. So this is where it gets interesting, guys. There's a huge gender gap in interracial marriage, in intermarriage. I like that word, right? It's cute. It's cute than say interracial. So for blacks and Asians, there's a big gender gap. You see right there, blacks and Asians, big gender gap. While there is no overall gender difference in intermarriage among newlyweds, starkly different gender patterns emerge for some major racial and ethnic groups. One of the most dramatic patterns occurs among black newlyweds. Black men are twice as likely as black women to have a spouse of a different race or ethnicity. 24% of black men versus 12% of black women. This gender gap has been a long-standing one. In 1980, 8% of recently married black men and 3% of their female counterparts were married to someone of a different race or ethnicity. So let's go over to the graph. New, 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 new. Okay. Black men are twice as likely as black women to intermarry. Percentage of U.S. newlyweds who are intermarried. So the dark color means the black men. I'm sorry. The dark color means the men, and the white color means the women. So right here, white. So this is white men and white women. So 12% of all white men are intermarried, while 10% of all white women are intermarried. So they got a 2% gap between the two of them. Not bad, not bad. Snarf, 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 snarf. That's not bad. Then you have Hispanic men. 26% of all Hispanic men are intermarried, while 28% of all Hispanic women are intermarried. That's not so bad. This is a 3-point difference. Black people now, what's happening? The distance between us. 24% of black men are intermarried, while 12% of black women are intermarried. Please note that black men do not have the highest rate of intermarriage. It is Hispanic men with a whopping, no, it's not. It's Hispanic men with a whopping 26%. And yeah, so out of all the males, Hispanic men tend to marry out more than any other male minority. When it comes to women, Asian women, I don't know what's going on. Asian men intermarry at 21%, while Asian women intermarry at a rate of 36% of their entire race intermarry. So Hispanic men have the highest level at 26%, while Asian women have the highest level at 36%. Please note, these percentages represent out of the entire race. It's not one part, it's the entire race. That's really significant. So I was going to read some of it right here. A significant gender gap in intermarriage is apparent among Asian newlyweds as well. Though the gap runs in the opposite direction, just over 1/3, 36% of Asian newlywed women have a spouse of a different race or ethnicity, while 21% of Asian newlywed men do. So you can see that there's definitely some big jumps right there. So just one more time before we go on to the next graph. This represents what? Black men are twice as likely as black women to intermarry. And the reason why they're making a big deal is because even though Hispanic men have the highest rate of intermarriage, it's because out of every other demographic, black men are doubled. No other man, no other demographic that's paired are doubled. So even though Asian men are 21% and black men are 24% and Hispanic men are a whopping 26%, black people are the only ones in terms of percentage that are doubled. So you have to know how this thing works. Okay, so we're going to go down here. This is my favorite part. There's a growing educational gap in intermarriage. So let's just look at this graph. So so this is the graph here, and these numbers represent percentages. So intermarriage rises more for those with at least some college experience. So this is overall intermarriage rates for people of, intermarriage. So 8%, that's where it starts off, and that's like some college. Then it rises up all the way to 18%. Okay, bachelor's degree, it starts at 7%, then it rises all the way to 19%. High school or less, 7%, then it goes to 14%. So the more education, the higher the percentage among people who intermarriage. So let's look right here, another fun graph. Among blacks and Hispanics, college graduates are most likely to intermarry. So this is really interesting. So we can look right here. If you have a high school diploma or less, if you're a white male, 10% intermarriage. If you're a white male with some college, 11% intermarriage. If you're a white male with some bachelor's, it's 12%. If you're Hispanic, this is where it gets crazy. Hispanic people beyond that, wow. Okay, so look at this. If you're Hispanic with a high school diploma or less, 16%. If you're Hispanic with some college or less, 35%. If you're Hispanic with a bachelor's degree or completed, 46%. That is astronomically high. And what this means is that if you are white with a high school diploma or less, you're intermarrying at 10%. If you are white with some college or less, you're intermarrying at 11%. If you're white with a bachelor's degree, you're intermarrying at 12%. So these represent out of the entire um, people who are getting these education levels. Hispanic, 16% for high school or less. Hispanic, 35% with some college. And it jumps really high. So just listen to me. 46% of all Hispanics, men or women, who earn a bachelor's degree are marrying into marriage or doing intermarriage. That's high. That's really high. Black people, when they get a high school degree or less, 15%. Black people with a college education, 17% intermarriage, and black people with a bachelor's degree, 21%. Okay, Asians, they're zigzag, 26% high school or less intermarriage. Asians, 39% some college degree. And for some reason, they just jump back down. So there's something about that some college where they have a higher number when everybody else gradually increases with more education. For some reason, when they get some college, they drop back down after getting a bachelor's degree. So it's really interesting there. That's really interesting, right? So let's go down here. All right, so this is where it gets very interesting for people on this channel for Hatshepsut, because I know most of my listeners are African American women with some African American men. So just look at this. Among blacks, gender gap in intermarriage higher for those with some college or more. So this graph represents a percentage of black newlyweds in the US ages 25 and older who are intermarried. Okay? So the dark bar is black men. The light bar is black women. So this is black women, black men. So the dark bar is black men. The light bar is black women. So 17% of all black men who have a high school diploma or less intermarry, while 10% of all black women who have a high school diploma or less intermarry. So right there, you already have a 7% difference. All right. Ooh. College degree, this is where it gets, some college, black men intermarry with some college at 24%. Then you have black women at 10%. So you already have the black men more than double. This is a 14% difference. Okay? So then you have a bachelor's degree. So when the black man earns a bachelor's degree, he intermarries at 30%. And this is more than double than the black women's intermarry at 13%. So that means there's a bleeding of educated top earners out of the black community at double the rate. So again, among black genders, gap in intermarriage higher for those with some college or more. So I want you guys to be able to look at that. Let me see if I can increase that screen just a little. Okay, just a little. I'll put it back to normal. Okay, let me go down here. So yeah. So I want you to be able to see that the way I'm seeing it. I don't know how it comes out on the screen capture, but among blacks, gender gap in intermarriage higher for those with some college. So these are the facts, guys. Black men are getting married more than double out of their, ethnicity when they get a bachelor's degree. 30% of all black men that earn a bachelor's degree are intermarrying at 30%. 13% of all black women who intermarry are getting intermarriage at 13%. And you can see the college, some college, 24% for black men, 10% for black women, and high school or less, 17% for men, 10% for women. So this is the facts. So you can choose to do whatever you want with that. That's just the facts. That's what I'm here for. The facts, ma'am, just the facts. So what I also want to talk about, oh, that's just them going crazy on the graph. What I also want to talk about is this. I talked about in my last video that people tend to marry who they are around. people tend to marry, you know, who they socialize with. And it shows that. That's why the education, this is my thing. When you go to college, you get exposed to diversity. When you go to college, you get exposed to other genders and cultures. And I'm thinking, depending on the neighborhood or the community, or even just the stigma, I don't think there's a big stigma for African American men to marry out of their ethnicity, their culture, their customs, whatever you want to call it. So they're more open. And since they're more open, once they get that exposure, they're going to typically have higher levels. While black women are just now, they're making a lot of increases, but black women are gradually getting more open. It used to be very big stigma for black women to marry white men. But now we're seeing Serena, we're seeing Meghan Markle, we're just seeing all types of, and we have the internet. I know you guys gonna think I'm like crazy for saying this, but when I was growing up, I didn't have Instagram, I didn't have Snapchat, I didn't have, all this applications. By the time I was 26 or 27, Facebook just came out in 2008. So you guys are exposed to a lot of ethnicities, cultures, and physical features that my generation older never had. So as exposure happens with Facebook and Twitter and Snapchat and Instagram, I think the taboos will lower for everyone because you're being bombarded with a lot of social issues that shows different races and stuff like that. So that's just my 2 cents. So if you go down here, what I just said is supported because in metro areas, almost 1 in 5 newlyweds are intermarried. So intermarriage is more common among newlyweds in the nation's metropolitan areas, which are located in and around large urban centers, than it is in non-metro areas. So it's basically what I was saying before. Like, if you are engaged with different people, you're going to marry who you socialize with. This is social economics. You're going to do business, you're going to engage, this is what you're doing. Only if you make a conscious effort, like black women did, or whatever was happening, to not be open to these opportunities, then you're not going to. But if you're open to it and you're exposed to it, whether it's your work environment, your school environment, transportation, or whatever you're doing, you're going to see this. So let's go down here some more. So you can see intermarriage is more common in metro areas. So you can see from right here, metro areas are dark, non-metro is light. So you can see in 1980, 8% of all newlyweds were intermarried were from metro areas versus 5. Now in 2015, 18% of all intermarried couples versus 11% in non-metro areas. So 18%. So you can clearly see that having a higher concentration of diversity definitely impacts who you're going to marry. Okay, so the link between a place of residence and intermarriage varies dramatically for different racial and ethnic groups. So you're going to go down here, and this is where white people get affected. Whites in metro areas twice as likely to intermarry as those in non-metro areas. You got to look at this. You got to see this. You got to see this. Whites in metro areas. So if you're a white person, you get affected. I mean, you can't look at the graduals, okay? White people, look at this. They get married double intermarried in metro areas. So in non-metro areas, it's 6%. In metro areas, it's 12%. Hispanics, in metro areas, 25%. Non-metro areas, 32%. And again, there are some Hispanic demographics that do not look as ethnic. So they kind of capitalize on that in areas that may not be receptive to really ethnic matching. Black people, just gangster with it. They're like, we don't care. We marry you anywhere. 18% in metro and 18% in non-metro. So they're not really affected. Black people are intermarrying anywhere they go. So that means whether in metro areas or non-metro areas, black people are getting intermarried. Now, Asians, this is a quagmire. I got to look this up. In metro areas, 28%. So I guess there's more Asians living in non-metro areas. I'm guessing because they're a higher income bracket. They do have a very high economic standing. So they're intermarried at 47%. They're the premier spouse of people in non-metro areas. So very interesting there. Among Black newlyweds, intermarriage rates are identical for those living in metro and non-metro areas, even though Blacks are a larger share of the marriage market in metro areas than non-metro areas. So it's just interesting to see that. And what is crazy is that Hispanic people, about 1 in 5 intermarried couple in America is Hispanic. It's a Hispanic husband and a white wife. That is the number one demographic. They actually comprise 42% of all intermarried couples in this combination. Wow. And that's something that people don't know. If you go down, look at how skinny the graph gets. So 22% of couples include a white husband and Hispanic wife. 20% includes a white husband and a white wife and Hispanic husband. So that's, you can see here, like this is the husband and that's the wife. White husband, multiracial wife. White husband, 3%, Black wife. Okay, so it's just really interesting. And you can see that they make up 42%, white and Asian 15%, white and multiracial 12%, white and Black only 11%. Then you have Hispanic and Black at 5%. So it's just really interesting. And I just want to say this. I really hope this brings some clarity. I really hope, I know that this is a very charged subject, but I just wanted to bring facts. And I think that's what's missing from the equation is that we don't have facts anymore. Too many people are sitting in front of their YouTube and getting emotional and getting triggered. I wanted Hasespa to be a factual channel, something that if you hear Connie talking, you could know it's the truth. And there's a reason why I do my videos like this. I've had people say, "Well, why don't you show your face?" I do show my face, but to me, I'm dedicated to the facts. I'm dedicated to showing you guys the receipts. If you want to see my face, come on Patreon. I talk all the time, but it's not about me. I just feel like YouTube is a tool that does not utilize fact-based information. And too many people are on here spitting, and don't know what a Pew Research study says or Pew Research study says about this. Because you can clearly see if your issue or your angst is interracial marriage, Black women are not really making a dent in that. They're not really, Black men are the ones who are twice as likely as Black women to intermarry. I don't have a problem with it either way. I don't, there's 6 billion humans on Earth, 7 billion, I don't know. I don't really, doesn't bother me at all. You marry who you engage, marry who you socialize with. Please do. Marry who is in your circle. Unless Black men are taking a car after work and say, to the white mobile. I don't think that's what's happening. I don't think that's what's happening. I think that Black men are more open, more accepting of dating anyone that they find attractive. They don't have that stigma. Now, we can sit here and argue about why that is. That's not for me. That's for the other channels. I'm just here to bring you the facts. That is it. You can take this information and do whatever you want. Again, this link will be in the description box so you can read it for yourself. It's a great link. I'm very proud of the information here. It is not biased. They actually are proud to do this type of information, which is called non it's not towards any political party or anything like that. It's just dealing with numbers and data. And it's interesting that when people get an education, they tend to marry higher. So you can see even the white people, 10, 11, 12, high school, college, and bachelors. Hispanics, 16, 36, 16, 35, 46. Blacks, 15, 17, 21. Asians are the only one that's kind of zigzag. I don't know about, the highest for them is some college at 39%. And I suspect that's because they're bigger on entrepreneurship, some demographics of Asians, and they don't need to finish college to become successful because overall they have a very high economic financial standing. And, to me, the most craziest one was among blacks, gender gaps in intermarriage, higher for those with some college. You can clearly see when the black man gets a bachelor's degree, he's marrying out more because he's going to be interacting, with people more. But the black woman's at 13%. And traditionally, she's not as open. But she's changing because a few years ago, I was using a study last week, and I believe when I was doing the Prince Harry one, the most recent one was from 2014, and that was black women at 4%. So black women have increased their intermarriage rapidly. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Um, I just hopefully this brings some clarity. This brings, you know, it brings some type of fact-based merit to the conversation. They have race, ethnicity, and age patterns. And they talk again about my, metro area. This is what I talked about, and people got upset. But it's true. It's just common sense. You're going to marry who you're around if you're open to it, if you're receptive to it. And I think, again, with the onslaught of massive social media, you're seeing a lot of people, like people are seeing people that they were not used to seeing before. People are getting exposed to booties and lips and hips and all types of fun stuff that they weren't getting exposed to before. You really can't know that unless you grew up like I did. I grew up with encyclopedias, and at the end of my adulthood, I have the internet. Like, you guys will never know the pain of an encyclopedia. That was our internet back in the day. You were the shit if you had all alphabet letters. Like, you want to come over? I got A through Z, yo. I got A through Z. That's the way it was. So I truly believe that Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all these internet exposures are the reason why you're seeing a rise amongst African American women getting more comfortable with opening their options, because black men have been enjoying that for a long time, and there's no hard feelings. Like I said, I'm very logic based, and if you are open and receptive to interracial dating and you're in those environments, you're gonna have marriages. That's just the way it is. There's no need for the craziness that's going on the internet. So I'm proud to have brought you this fact-based Pew Research study. Please look out for more. I'm going to be dropping some more videos, and enjoy. This was Hat Cessput, and like and subscribe and check the description box for this link, and don't forget to hit the bell for notifications. Have a great time, guys. I'll be hearing from you soon. Bye-bye. Oh yeah, don't forget me on my Patreon, 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 Patreon.